What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I will be reviewing a beer from the Voodoo Brewing Company, and they are headquartered in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and this is their Lacto-Kooler, the green variant. So they're calling this one a flavored Berliner style of Weisse ale, and on the side here it says malt beverage with natural and artificial flavors and certified color. Comes in at 5.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, this can is just under 3 months old. So if you're an 80s and or a 90s kid like myself, you probably remember Hi-C's Ecto Cooler, which was a green colored drink that was introduced with the release of Ghostbusters 2 back in, I think it was the late 80s, probably like 89, 88. I forget exactly when Ghostbusters 2 was released, but it was definitely the late 80s. And it had the ghost from Ghostbusters Slimer on the package. And it was basically a citrus Hi-C drink that was colored green. And again, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you probably remember that drink. I think they discontinued it in like the late 90s and then brought it back a couple times. But this beer is trying to mimic that drink just in Berliner Weisse form. Now, I love the label because it's basically Slimer to some degree, and it's an absolutely fantastic label. Some people might not agree, but I just love it. And they do a bunch of different variations. The other one that showed up here recently was the red one, but they've done, I think, like 15 or 20 different ones. I remember several years back when they first introduced this one, I wanted to grab it. They released it at all their locations, including the one in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it sold out like in an hour. It was crazy. But yeah, so I've been wanting to try this one. It showed up here locally in Buffalo, New York. We're going to give it a go. The one disappointing thing about this, obviously, is the natural and artificial flavors and certified color, but this is basically more like, I would assume, like an Alco Pop or a wine cooler. This probably has more in common with like hard Mountain Dew than it actually does with a beer, even though they say it's a Berliner Weisse. Like, when you see the color and what they're going for, like, I get why all that is in there, but, you know, whatever. We're going to give it a go. I had to try it. I just had to try it. Here we go. Yeah. It looks like Ecto Cooler. Oh, God. Yeah. You know, when people are like, that's not beer. Yeah, this probably is not going to be beer. That head's going to just be gone instantaneously, guaranteed. And again, I love this can, so throw the can over here like this. So what does that look like? That looks like toxic waste. Feel like we're in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show right now, or in a movie. Anyway, yeah, it's basically like a just crazy, like toxic waste green. There's a little, I can see like the shadow on my hand, but can't make it out. Had about a finger of a off-white colored head that is now dissipated to a thin film. But like, yeah, does that look like Ecto Cooler? Kind of, just carbonated, where Ecto Cooler was not. So skin nose. Yeah, it smells to me like your generic citrus, like juice box. Like, you know, it just has a sweeter, like orange kind of. And I think that's what Ecto Cooler was. It was like a citrus. It was a citrus flavored Hi-C, but it was green. Yeah, it does. Like, it doesn't smell like beer. No, it doesn't. It just smells like some kind of soda pop, some kind of Hi-C, something in that realm. It's sweet. It's citrusy. You would think something like this would smell like green apple. It doesn't. It's like orange, tangerine, maybe like a little bit of lemon lime, but it definitely doesn't smell like green apple. But it also does not smell like a beer whatsoever. Definitely smells like an old school wine cooler or something. Anyway, I kind of, going in this one, I knew what to expect based on, the release of this and everything, but I wanted to try it myself. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. I'll give them this. I'll give them props here. This definitely has a firm tartness into lower sourness. Right in the back of my jaw. It's not quite puckering, but it's kind of almost there. I'll be honest with you, this is drinking more like a Goza. I'm getting like a salinity on the lips right now. Buying this one, it's slightly syrupy, like a soda pop would be, right? So like higher side of medium, lower side of full, just because of that syrupy nature, right? It's a little bit thicker. It's not as I take it back. All right, we'll just say it's like medium body. It has that syrupy nature, kind of adds to it, but it is a little bit watery. But it is 5.5%. It's a Berliner Weisse. It's fine. The mouthfeel, it has a nice crispness to it. It's like moderately carbonated, pretty smooth going down. The taste, it tastes like green. It's funny, they don't even list what's in here on the can, on the website, whatever. They just say, if you look on like their website or like Instagram or Untappd, it just says Berliner Weisse style with Berliner Weisse with green. They just say with green. They don't specify what the green is. They just say with green. Well, it's green food coloring for sure. But yeah, it's citrusy up front. Again, it's mostly orange and tangerine. Then there's a lemon lime kick, a little bit of like a sweeter grapefruit, but it's a lot of citrus. Could be mistaken, maybe like something for like one of those fruits for maybe like a peach or something like that. But this is mostly citrus. And that's omnipresent. That's throughout the palate. It's pretty sweet up front, and it carries with you on the palate. Finishes semi to full on dry. Absolutely no bitterness to speak of, but it has, again, a firm tartness into low sourness. Here's the issue I have with this one as far as like wanting to be able to crush this and whatnot. And again, that salinity is on the palate too. Finishes with a slight like salty salinity, minerality, and it's also like around my lips as well. What can I say about this one? You know, I don't really argue about this, but like, you know, I have conversations with people who post comments. Like a lot of the heavily fruited sour beers nowadays, people would be like, that's not beer. It's just, yeah, it's a base beer mixed with fruit puree, but it has more in common with like a fruit smoothie or a slushy than it does with a beer. And it's hard to argue that at this point. Like, yeah, they do taste like fruited beverages that a lot of times aren't beer. It's still a beer at its core because, you know, the base beer is actually, they brew it. Same thing with this. Like, this is technically a beer. Does it taste like it? Fuck no. This does not taste like a beer. It tastes like somebody carbonated Ecto Cooler and made it 5.5%. And you can't tell it's 5.5%, and it just tastes like that. It's sweet. It has a nice, you know, sourness to it, but it's not bitter. It doesn't, like, I'm not getting the Berliner Weisse base. Maybe the only thing from Berliner Weisse I'm getting is, again, the sourness and that salinity, which would maybe think it's more of a Goza, but it's not. Anyway, was this fun to try? Yes. Would I buy this again? No, because of the price and the fact that this is kind of a novelty beer. But if this is your jam, if you like this, more power to you. Enjoy it. Go drink all of these. Have fun with it. That's what beer's supposed to be, fun. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you should or shouldn't buy, and hopefully you don't say the same thing to me. Like, enjoy what you enjoy. Spend your hard-earned dollars on what you want to buy and have fun with it. I think I'll buy the red one just to see how it is. I'd imagine it's going to taste like red Kool-Aid or, you know, a red like a tropical punch Hi-C. But it'll still be fun to try. And again, I love the label. So I kind of bought this more for the label and the theme than anything else. You know, being, again, an 80s and 90s kid, like, this speaks to me. So anyway, not much more to say about this one. Is it a beer? Sure. Does it drink like one? Hell no. Was it fun to review? Yes. Would I buy this again? No. Would I say try this? If you're interested in something that looks like this and you want to conjure up some memories of your childhood and drinking Ecto Cooler, like, give it a go. You could do a lot worse in terms of beverages. But Lacto-Kooler, the green variant from Voodoo, I'm just going to give this a straight 3.75 out of 5. It's solid, it's decent, it's enjoyable to some degree. I'll drink the rest of it. This is the, when people say, hey man, that's a novelty beer, this is like the definition of a novelty beer. Look at the fucking color. Like, look at the color of this beer in the hashtag proper glassware. Look at the color of that beer. Does that scream novelty to you? I would say it does based on the color. But, you know, I had fun reviewing it. Price point availability, this is another reason why I probably would never buy this specifically. Maybe I'll buy some of the other variants if they show up, but this was, I paid like $6 for that can, $6.50. Like, that's pretty expensive. That's like the same price you pay for all the heavily fruited sour ales. So yeah, I would never buy it at that price point again. Like I said, I might try out a variant or two down the line, but like, I'm not buying that one again. But if you're paying $6.50, or it's cheaper, put it this way, if it's cheaper in your neck of the woods and you get Voodoo, like, let me know what you pay for it. Maybe it's just higher here in New York, like a lot of things are. And availability, I have no idea with Voodoo. I know that they have, you know, a bunch of different locations in PA. I've been to the Erie Brew Pub multiple times. I like Voodoo. I like a lot of their beers. I've reviewed one of the best ones from them, which is a barrel-aged pumpkin barley wine, which is just, I love that beer. But, you know, this beer, it's probably one of my least enjoyable I've had from Voodoo, just because, again, it's a novelty beer and it's just kind of doesn't drink like a beer. But I enjoy their stuff. So if you get this one in your neck of the woods, let me know, especially if you're outside of PA or New York. And yeah, I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Have you had this one before? Have you had any of the other variants? If so, post in the comment section. Would you try this out just for novelty's sake? Do you love Ghostbusters? Do you really dig? I mean, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters the original, yeah, that's where it's at. But I think, again, when you take everything in consideration, this was fun to try. I'm happy I picked it up, but I wouldn't buy it again. And that's where I'll leave it. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.